Hello, it's Dr. Sarah Walton, founder of Soul Writing. And today we're going to talk about how to ground your reader in the location of your story. And your story might be fiction, it may be a novel, it could be flash fiction, short story, it could actually be a blog too. So in any type of writing that you use, story, these tips are going to be useful to you. Just before we start, I'd just like to say I do two types of video tips. The first one is what you have now. These are going to be some more technical writing tips. And the second type are meditation exercises, whereby I'll take you on a guided meditation and you will experience the inner world of yourself and your imagination, and we'll do the writing from the intuition. So this is the first type. These are technical writing tips. If you would like to do the meditation that goes with this, then please go and find me on social media or go to soulwriting.co.co. And if you can't find it, email me, sarah@soulwriting.co. Now back to the tips. So if you want to ground your reader firmly in the story, what you need to do is you need to get them in contact with how the character is feeling in the environment. Now today we are in Asian winter. I'm still wearing short sleeves, as you can see, so it's not really that cold, although some people who are from here are actually wearing sweaters today, which would be far too hot. But I can feel the coolness on my skin. I can feel that the temperature has definitely dropped, and I'm not needing to find some shade to get out of the sun because the heat's burning my skin. So I'm feeling and experiencing where I am, my location, in a very different way. Now your reader needs to be able to do that when they're reading. And so the best way to do that is to, when you're writing, use your five senses as well as your sixth sense. You don't need to use all of them at the same time. But what I mean by that, and let's just recap over the five senses, which we've spoken about in a different video. Those five senses are touch, hearing, sight, smell, and taste. You have five senses. And there's a sixth sense, very important, which are all of your intuitive senses. So there's a number of them. Telepathy, clairvoyance, clairsentience. So clairsentience, what you can feel. Some people feel the emotions of other people. Intuition, so your character may have some sense of their emotions, so their intuitive sense of their emotions in a place. They might be afraid. They may be excited. They may be feeling particularly saddened by an environment. So we're talking particularly about location, and I'm going to give you an example from my latest book, which is called Sophia's Tale. And in this book I was particularly interested in using the senses, and in this little section that I'm going to read to you, I'm particularly focused on the sense of touch. So here's an example. Sophia, by the way, is the main character of the novel, and she's at the moment lost in the desert in her dreamscape. It's a fairy tale for adults, so it's kind of fantasy fiction. Sophia walked directionless in the desert. The heat slowed her pace, but the only remedy to dull the pain and keep the panic at bay was to keep moving. Despite the grit that bit and stung her eyes, she pushed on under the burning sun. Her lips cracked, her lungs filled with dust, and her clothes stuck to her skin. So there's an example of touch. What can Sophia feel? Well, she feels that the heat is slowing her down. So heat really does slow you down as you're walking, and I'm sure that all of you have experienced that. And she has this sensation of grit. She's in the desert, so it's sandy, it's dusty, and she's got the grit in her eyes, and she's got cracked lips, and her lungs are filling up with dust. Now, I could have gone into more detail. This was quite a kind of sparse book. I could have put some similes in there. You might want to try that. But what I've also done is I've talked about how her clothes stuck to her skin. So she's really hot and sweaty, and we've all had that experience too. And that's what you need to do. You need to bring the reader into experiences that they will identify with. And we've all had that feeling of being sweaty and our clothes feeling uncomfortable and sticking to our skin. And we've all been in, most of us I'm sure, have been in burning heat under a burning sun and feeling really quite lethargic and unenergetic. And I'm sure we've all been in a windy place which is very dusty and felt sand and grit in our eyes. So it's a combination of putting your character in the space and putting yourself into your character's shoes and imagining, as I did there, I imagined what would it feel like to be walking around in the desert, lost and afraid. So that's an example of touch. So I hope that that's been helpful to you. If you would like any more tips, then please go to soulwriting.co. And if you're interested in reading Sophia's Tale, it's available on Amazon. Thank you for listening.